Welcome to our revising and proofreading video. For the next few moments we're going to cover some revising and proofreading strategies and hopefully improve your career plan letters and introduce you to a process that you're involved with even though you didn't know it. Process, you say? Yes, processes abound. You all know and work with processes. You have them in electronics and machining and industrial processes and manufacturing and computer programming. So to end up with a quality product, or to find out how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, it involves a process. We are involved with a tech writing process, of course, in this course. The first step is the composition of any document, is to read, study, and understand the purpose for which you are writing, and to do some research on who the audience will read it. For your career plan letter, that was the assignment sheet, which dictated what was to be in your letter. It even dictated what was to go in each individual paragraph. It was laid out your assignment in remarkable detail. Now, audience is me, your instructor, but you can also include your classmates in on that as well. And pretty soon a classmate or two is going to have a look at your letter to lend some help. The second step in the tech writing process is to generate content. You might do brainstorming, you might do some planning or some research to come up with things to write about, to put into your letter. In this case, you just had a small amount of research, and that involved the career that you're in, the program that you're in, and the degree that you're about to receive, or at least we hope that you'll receive. So from that, you wrote a letter. Step 3 in the process is just to sit down and write a first draft. Get something down on paper, then we've got something to work with. So that brings us to where we're at in that tech writing process today, which is revision. We revise to improve content, and then we'll also talk about the 5th and final step in the tech writing process, which is proofreading, which is all those fun little things that like punctuation and grammar and spelling and mechanics, the stuff that you remember so fondly probably from grade school and high school. But you know that in tech writing, the final product can't just be good enough. It has to be perfect. Imagine a cover letter or a resume that had mistakes in it. They don't go very far, I don't feel. And so let's plunge into revising and proofreading. And for this, you might want to have a copy of your letter in front of you and something to write with, something that's got ink or lead in it, so you can write some suggestions on how to improve your letter and then go and improve your letter. Okay, so fail to cover any one of the 5 steps of the tech writing process, and something bad might happen. Okay, let's start with revision. After you have a firm understanding of the assignment and its purpose, you were to type out a 3-paragraph letter with specific content for each paragraph, and to use the format that was indicated, and that was the block letter format, page 303 from your career. Hopefully you have a copy of that on hand as well. Again, that was your purpose. Study that assignment sheet. Now might be a good time to take a second look at it to make sure that you really fulfilled the assignment. Oh, and then audience. As I said earlier, I'm your audience, and so are your classmates. So that's really what dictates the style and tone of any document, is who it's going to be read by. In a moment, we'll also revise for some larger elements, like do you have an introduction? Do you have good sound body paragraphs? And do you conclude this letter in a way that makes sense? Let's talk about those major elements and body paragraphs. First, you need some sort of way of opening up this letter. Your opening should sound a general note previewing what is to come and addressing the assignment's requirements. If you're saying something very specific in the opening, like I took this class my 3rd term, that's not a good place to start. A better place to start would be in describing the training and education that you have. You also want to get to the point. That's really important in all tech writing. So be upfront with your purpose and your opening statement. If your letter begins something like, I was assigned to write a letter to you, stop right there. It's not getting to the point. Something more like, through school and work assignments, I have been preparing myself, blank, blank, blank. That's more to the point, and that's really addressing the assignment as it was laid out. Now, as for the paragraphs that are in the middle of your letter, and there's only one in the middle, but all paragraphs really should be structured on a general statement at the top called a topic sentence. You probably remember that phrase from school. Topic sentence at the top, and then more specific explanation below that in the rest of the paragraph. So the topic sentence kind of gives a promise as to what the rest of the paragraph will be about. Take a look at your letters. Are your paragraphs structured in this general to specific pattern? If not, please address that. And if they don't have topic sentences at the top of each paragraph, then please fix that soon as well. And if you need to pause this video to go do that, feel free. The last note is about how you conclude the letter, and it should sound as if you're summing things up. Now, you were assigned to address certain matters in that final and third paragraph, but is your last sentence, does it make sense? Does it sound like you're done? That would be important as well. What you write about and how it sounds are the next things to revise for, and that is where we address audience and purpose. I've already said who your audience is, and why you're writing to me and to your classmates dictates the style and tone of your letter. Let's take a look at tone first. Tone is sort of like the mood you want to create with your letter. Here's a sample sentence. See what you think of the tone that this letter, the mood that this particular sentence creates. Your company is not the best, but it is okay. Yes, if you find something wrong with the tone of that sentence, you're in luck, because there is something definitely wrong with telling someone that their company, well, it's not the best, but it's just okay. They probably feel much more positive about their company than you make it sound like you do. And by the way, one thing I've run into is students really do like something, it's just the way they phrase it makes it sound a little bit negative. So we can work on that right now. Style works right along with tone, and your choices for style really are two. You can either write something informally, say a text message to your friend, or you can write something more formally, like this letter that's under assignment right now, or in the future, a cover letter. So the sample sentence on the screen, your company is not the best, but it is okay, dude. Dude would not be the proper way to address someone if you were trying to convey a formal style. Other issues to consider, yes, are jargon and the knowledge base of the person reading the letter. So the purposes of this particular assignment, if it's addressed to me, you know that you should hold off just a bit on the type of jargon you use from your career field, because I don't know it. Same with the things you talk about that you've studied. Explain them in a way that a non-technical person would understand, because that's me. I'm not technical. So again, if you need to take a few moments, pause this video, read through your letter, and study its style and tone, feel free. I'll be here when you get back. But style and tone are very important in business correspondence and technical writing, as you can well imagine. You just won't be taken seriously if you don't take them seriously. So, again, your letter's tone and style. Your purpose was to write a letter about your career plans and how you're preparing for your career. So your tone should be probably, I've had students in the past at this point in class shout out, it should be respectful, it should be business-like, and those all make a lot of sense to me. And then your audience was me, your instructor, and of course on communicating in the work world, yeah. And so style should be formal. So again, if you need to take a few moments to read through your letter and study this and see how this worked out, feel free. We'll be here when you get back. Now about that second paragraph and the little, small, minuscule amount of research you were to do for it. You were to tell me what career program you are taking. And here is just a brief sample. This is an older catalog now, but a brief sample of some of the official names for the programs here in the Advanced Technology Center. Just a few. Study this list. Hopefully you probably see your career program here. If not, you need to go online to Indian Hill's website, and if you look through the web pages that have to deal with future students, they talk about all the programs in this building, and that would give you a chance. Now, don't use abbreviations in your letter yet. In other words, if you're going to describe what degree you're getting at this point, write it out the first time. More on that later, but the degree types, as you can see, are at the bottom of the screen, and most of my students are going for an AAS degree. And don't get it wrong and say it's an ASS degree, because that will just be embarrassing for all of us. Now we're on to proofreading. That was revision. Proofreading, as I said, is the smaller stuff. It is the final step to finalize your letter for mailing and transmitting. You want to do revising first because you're going to be fixing a lot. You might be writing new sentences. Now we want to go back and see if you've done those sentences correctly. So this is all that fun stuff, punctuation, spelling, mechanics, so forth. We really don't want anything to leave to be sent out before we've had it inspected more than once. So after you've done your own proofreading, we're going to get a couple of people to help you proofread your letters as well. Having another pair of eyes is really helpful. You've already had some help with proofreading up to this point, and that came courtesy of Microsoft Word. It puts wavy lines under things. Green is for something that doesn't look like a sentence to the computer, to the Word program. Red is for misspelled words. That's an easy one to fix. You put your cursor on the word that's being given in red with a little red squiggly line underneath it, and you right-click on that, and it gives you some options. Knowing the right word at that point is a little tough. Yeah, the blue is for what I call contextual spelling errors. I know you know it's K-N-O-W, right? So you didn't spell it incorrectly. The machine sometimes helps us with these things. The machine sometimes helps a little bit, but not completely, as I say. So I would say don't ignore them. I've read an article that says that these wavy lines are actually helpful about 60% of the time, but don't rely on them completely. One thing you can look for on your own is capitalization. One thing I want to pass along to you today, and it's really important for the career plan letter and for your cover letters later on, is you want to capitalize words when they're used as a title. So you see the example on the screen. When you spell it out, machine technology program or automation and robotics program, whatever your program is, you're describing it in full, that would be a title. Okay. Also, when you call it your Associate of Applied Science, that's the degree that you're getting, you want to capitalize it there. But don't have to capitalize it every single time you say those words. For instance, if you mention it just in passing, machine technology is an exciting career field, you would not capitalize it in that instance. Or if you're saying more informally, my associate degree will help me, again, that would be lowercase, not capitalized. Check out your letter for that. More fun with mechanics, caps and what's not. Okay, we just went through that. How about numbers? You may or may not have any numbers in your letter. A hard and fast rule for tech writing is when the number is less than 10 or it's at the beginning of a sentence, write out the word. But if it's above 10, you can use the numeral. Don't just use the numeral every single time. Pay attention to this rule. Now, there's, of course, exceptions. That's what we love in English. There are always exceptions to rules. And so, if you use your number next to a symbol, or if you use it with a decimal point, or if you use it with the actual word percent, you can use the numerals at that point. So you'll see those examples at the bottom. You've got the symbol for dollars, and you've got something written as a decimal. Pay close attention to that. And general issues. If you use an abbreviation, write out the full reference in the first mention. So you don't plunge in and say AAS, you say Associate of Applied Science the first time you mention it. After that, you're allowed to say AAS. And plurals and possessives. Be careful with your apostrophes. Apostrophes show possession most of the time. So don't just throw in an apostrophe if it's just merely a plural. Finally, we're on to format. And again, you want to slow down, maybe pause this video at any point and check things out. Grab this sheet, remember that format, block format, and check for these things. Does your typeface have serifs? Now, if you look at the The word here, notice the Y is a little fancier than this Y over here. That's because it has serifs on it. Did you indent? Great, we love indentations, but not in business letters. And so your letter should not have any indentations. And how about spaces? Is it double spaced like most college term papers and essays are? That's nice. We don't use double spaces in business letter format either, so make sure it's just single space. Remember these elements. Your address is the first one at the top, and it doesn't have your name with it at that point. Sorry. Next follows what's called the inside address. That would be my address, not your address, my address. Remember the salutation. You don't use the person's first name in the salutation, only their last name. If it's a female, it's always MS, period. And if it's male, it's Mr. And hopefully you've got the close. And did you sign it? We can get into balance, but I discussed that more when I made the first video and welcoming you to the class and talking about your first assignment. Okay, instructions from here on out. Revise and proofread your letter and print out a new copy. Write down a concern you have with that letter. What's something about it you're not quite sure of still at this point. If it's content, that's something for revision. If it's grammar, punctuation, that's something for proofreading. Put your concern on the bottom or at the back of your letter. Then exchange your letter and one of the career plan letter peer response forms found under learning units. Do that with someone from the class. You'll be given advice on how to find someone from the class. You want to do this twice because you'll get points for it if you do it twice. Then save the forms returned to you about your own letter, of course. You'll hand those in at some point. Revise your letter one last time and print out a copy for grading. Now it's worth big points, 35 points. 5 points for each of the peer responses you turn in. Then remember that a revised, clean, printed letter is due at the beginning of class this coming Monday, the 25th. We're going to meet in our usual classrooms. I hope to be back by then. And please read Chapter 6 and complete Career Action 6.2 and 3.3. And 3.3 is found at the end of Chapter 3. That will get us ready to plunge into the resume, which is the next thing that we'll take up in this class, next assignment and next section. Good luck with your career plan letters, and I hope to see you soon.